Hi, welcome to Hospitality Live with Rupesh. Each week, we feature an industry leader that will share the latest trends and the best strategies to help you grow. Now, welcome your host, Rupesh Patel.
Hey, good morning. It's episode number 61. Guys, welcome to the show. This is Hospitality Live with Rupesh. With me, Rupesh. Hey, guys, this week it is episode 61. And this is the Road to Recovery 5-star mindset featuring our very own Sarah Dandashy. I'm super excited to speak with her today again. And she's definitely going to be bringing on the Hospitality Minute. So definitely stay tuned. Guys, comment and let me know where you're watching from and where you're listening from. Some people are in their cars, some people are in their offices already, some people are getting ready for work, which is awesome. Guys, welcome to the show. Guys, comment and let us know where you are actually watching from. And we're giving away 2 gift cards, $50 each, one to Amazon and one to our sponsor, smartguests.com. So definitely comment. The most engaging person on this episode live at the end of the show will win the $100 combined gift cards, and we're gonna send that to you today. So comment, let us know where you're watching from and where you're listening from. Let's see where people are watching from. All right, Kentucky, India, guys, good morning. Texas, Michigan, Mid-Michigan. People. Allison saying she's getting ready for work. Good morning, Christopher from Maryland. Charleston. Adele, I gotta contact you because I'm going there very, 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 very soon. Send me a direct message. Kentucky, Jacksonville, Missouri. Good morning from India. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Remember, we're giving away $100 worth of gift cards today before the end of the show. And we're talking about 5-star mindset. We never stopped giving away hospitality, even as we were slow in March, April, May, this last 6 months, right? We kept it going. And if you want to improve your reviews, if you want to improve your service scores, if you want to improve your hotel, if you want to get more loyal guests coming back to your hotel, this episode is for you. You could be a front desk manager, hotel owner, front desk operations. Anybody in the hotel can learn these skills to improve your career, improve your hotel, and get more business. And I know we're going into our slow season, so this is a perfect episode for you. And this is featuring our very own Sarah Dandashy. I'm super excited about this. So it's 5-star mindset. So if you're running a 1-star hotel, 2-star hotel, 3-star, 4 or 5, guess what? This is a refresher for you. Or if this is something that new that you might learn today that could help you increase something within your business. Guys, this episode, let me see where people are watching from. There's people from Chicago, Tanzania. Good morning. Welcome, Chicago. Welcome to the show. 6-star. I like that. All right. So this week's episode is, let me bring it up, brought to you by smartguests.com. Somebody put that in the comments right now. Smartguests with an S at the end.com. And let me read the sponsor read. All right. Increase your guest satisfaction scores and improve positive reviews. So if you're looking for more reviews, you have to go to smartguests.com. We have over 50 hotel tools and get it custom printed right on the website. So you can have review cards. All our entire staff, including housekeeping, has their own business cards, and we get them from smartguests.com. Fast shipping, free shipping. Somebody put that in the notes real quick. Smartguests.com. Thank you so much for sponsoring the show. And, every week I talk about a mindset. There you go. Let me put this up. There you go, Christopher. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kevin, for posting that. Yep. Nadine, thank you so much. Jay, thank you so much. All right. So every week I talk about a mindset. And this week, last Friday, actually, what is the date? October 23rd, actually a day before my birthday, my dad passed. And it was pretty difficult because he passed from COVID. And we were at the hospital since, we could get in. And it's been tough on my mom because my dad was taking care of my mom through her breast cancer treatment. She had a double mastectomy last year. This time, actually on my birthday last year, she started her chemotherapy treatments. And they were supposed to end this past week. It was an entire year of chemo. And, sadly, both my parents got COVID late August, and my mom went in for the day and she got out of the hospital. My dad never made it out of the hospital, and he was in a coma for over 40 days on a ventilator. And I'm telling you, I've learned so much more about this virus, or if you think it's not real, or you think your family member can't get it, listen, I thought the same thing, not thinking it was real, but my family would never get this. We'll stay safe, but we're never going to get this. And my parents stayed home. It actually came to them, which there was somebody that came to their house and was sick and got them sick. So, we really have to take care of each other, take care of ourselves, and understand that, this is real. And, the legacy goes on. So we had his funeral on Sunday, and, we had family come into town, and, I feel bad for my mom, not really, but I'm going to keep her positive because she's been positive, but we're going to keep her going. We're just going to keep her going like I do. My mindset's, it stays positive through this whole thing. We were in hospital for, like 6-7 hours every single day, just standing next to him, being by his side, talking to him, because they're saying when you're in coma, you can still hear, right? And so we kept talking to him. But, two mindsets that I want to share with you is that he always shared with us, no matter what, was work hard. And he did work hard. He worked in a hotel. He owned a motel, and they were the live-on manager. They did housekeeping. They did everything. And I was living there too. And, he went through Hurricane Andrew, and pretty much he had to start all over when the hurricane came through, and he had no power for 4 months. So think about living with no power, as many have in Puerto Rico and, in the Panhandle, where they've been experiencing a lot of these natural disasters, especially hurricanes. And then the second thing is save money, right? And I've taken both these things to heart. And yeah, we do work hard. I work hard 7 days a week, and I'm never going to stop. And people are like, I'm going to retire when I'm this certain age. I'm going to keep it going. That's just my mentality. That's the way I like to live life. And, and I was talking to Sarah last week, and she's like, are you going to do the show? And I'm like, yes. You know why? You guys give me energy to keep going. You guys give me this positivity to keep me going. And if I stop, right, it's just like work. If you stop working and you retire, you hear a lot of people get into health problems, health issues. They get into depression. I didn't want that for myself, even for a short period of time. So I wanted to keep going, keep learning, keep getting inspired from you, and then inspiring you to, keep going too. And so I said, yeah, Sarah, we're going to continue doing it. And thankfully she came on last night, because I'm going to be honest with you. I did not have a topic yesterday at this time. I didn't have a guest at this time. I was going through all the planning of my dad's funeral and family members in town and all of these different things that I didn't have time for a lot. But Sarah came through, and we have a great show for you today. So let me bring her on real quick. Hey Sarah.
Hey, good morning.
You're a lifesaver, because, I was like, my mind was like all over the place, and I'm like, man, Sarah, is there something? I even texted Sarah last night saying, can we just show how to make eggs or something like that? Or why pizza tastes so good?
I was debating on that. I was like, maybe we should do, why does pizza taste so good? But I was like, I think we can come up with something a little bit more, I don't know, on brand. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show. And like, you come every week with the news and hospitality and what's going on in the industry. So can we get right into that?
Yeah, sure. You want to do the hospitality minute?
Boom, hang on a second.
Hi, I'm Sarah Dandashy from Ask a Concierge. Every week, I'll be sharing the latest hospitality and travel news and updates in a segment we like to call Hospitality Minute.
All right.
So what's going on in hospitality? What's going on in travel? It's changing every single day, and there's a lot going on. So please bring us the new news.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is interesting right now because for those of you that tuned in last week, I think, and if you didn't see it, you should go back and watch, because Chip Rogers was on, and it was really interesting, especially for all of us in the hotel industry in the United States. So much is like a little bit of a stalemate right now. So definitely go check that out. But I do want to kind of talk about some interesting things that are going to be going on. Some of the next topics that I'll talk about, Marriott is launching a new day pass, stay pass, and play pass. Nickelodeon Hotels and Resorts in Punta Cana is announcing that they are reopening November 5th. Families can safely reunite in a resort bubble this holiday season. We'll talk about what resort bubbles are. And then Booking.com has launched a new campaign called America is for Everyone. So let me go ahead and just kind of dive into it. I've got all my notes right here. Okay, so Marriott, I thought this was really cool. they've just launched this new day pass, stay pass, and play pass. Not only is it a great name, but it's also so apropos. And I know a lot of companies have been trying to figure out how can we do day passes to really maximize on people, kind of coming and using the hotel space. But now, obviously, in the middle of this, where we've had to get creative, even a big brand like Marriott is hopping on board. So to give you an idea, day pass is basically they basically give you a chance to check in at 6 or guests to check in at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You have access to Wi-Fi, foods, drinks, and additional spaces in the hotel. Basically an additional space to go ahead and work. Now the stay pass basically combines the day pass and then you end up staying overnight. And then for those that are just looking for maybe those longer trips as well too, that would be the play pass, and that includes business concierge, supervised kids activities, office spaces, all of that. So it's really interesting that they're doing that. All right, moving on. Nickelodeon Hotels and Resorts Punta Cana. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Nickelodeon actually has a hotel, which is incredible. It's in the Dominican Republic, and they are scheduled to reopen November 5th. And this is really interesting because right now I know a lot of things are up in the air, and people are trying to figure out, okay, can we travel with our family? Should we travel with our family? And certainly this being such a family-centric hotel, by opening up, they're really trying to target those families. And they are part of the Charisma Hotels and Resorts brand. So if you're not familiar with them, you should check them out. This is part of their and they have a peace of mind program as well too. So it's definitely interesting what they're doing. Another fun one, again, moving on here, families, these resort bubbles. So options for families to stay this holiday season. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is that for families that maybe don't feel comfortable going to other families' places, maybe doing their traditional family get-togethers, what a wonderful way for them to still do something maybe festive, but maybe do it in a safe way. So actually Club Wyndham has been behind this, so that they are doing these resort bubbles so that families can pretty much stay and play together for the holidays. And they actually are calling it, if I can pronounce it correctly, basically it's a quarantine cornucopia package is what it's called. Let's try and say that 5 times, but definitely should be pretty interesting. And then our final little topic for today is Booking.com. I love this. It's reminding everybody that America is for everyone. And I think that's such a great sentiment, especially right now, because there are all these different cities and little places in and around the United States that have these interesting themes. You've got some of them that are, have a little bit of, a Dutch theme to them. So what they're doing is they're basically encouraging people to travel within the United States, because that's where we can, but then to find these small places where you almost feel like you're traveling internationally. So, oh my gosh, it's like there's little Haiti in Miami. There's Little India in Jersey City, Little Ethiopia in Silver Springs, Maryland, Frankenmuth, Michigan, which I had only just heard of. So for you in Michigan, shout out to that. But that's a little German town there as well too. And there's a Greek town in Tarpon Springs, Florida. So obviously many, many more, but interesting that they're doing that. So that is it for today's Hospitality Minute.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. All right. So, you're staying on the show now.
I am.
We're talking about, and by the way, I've been to that little India town. There's actually a lot of different cities. New York has one, Jersey has one, I think LA has one, Houston definitely has one. I grew up in Texas. And it's cool to get out and see all these little places that you've never heard of, or even little Italy and all these different places that there's such great food. And listen, it always comes back down to food for me. And I think it's time. I like that they're marketing it that way, because I think there's some opportunity for us to say, listen, we don't have to travel to another country right now.
No,
we can travel to within the state, and there's so many opportunities that even here in Florida, I haven't visited all the amazing things that Florida has to offer, and so I think there's some opportunity within your own local market too. So, or within I guess a driving distance, right?
Yeah. And and I think it does embrace all the different cultures that make up what we are in the United States. I mean, there are so many, so it's cool to see these little towns that have those themes, and because there are all these really interesting places in the most unexpected places as well too. So what a cool way to, I love that booking.com is doing that. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, Sarah. So we're talking about the 5-star mindset now. Guys, comment and let us know where you're watching from. Somebody before the end of the show, Sarah, is going to win that 2 gift cards worth $100 total, and from $50 from Amazon and $50 from smartguests.com. All right, so Sarah, we're talking about the 5-star mindset. What does that actually mean?
That's a great question. And, in thinking about everything, and I know that you were talking a lot about mindset this week, and we were brainstorming yesterday, but really this 5-star mindset is, what's the reality? The reality is that not all of us might necessarily work at a luxury property, but that doesn't mean that we can't have the mindset of working at a 5-star property, that it is still possible to have that 5-star mentality towards service, even if maybe wherever you happen to be, whatever your property is, isn't necessarily 5-star. It might be a 3-star, might be 4-star. You might work at a grocery store, but you can still have that 5-star mentality. And I think that's really important, because really, what is the glue that really kind of connects us in the world of hospitality? It's the human interaction, and that's something that we have complete control over, So I think it's a great thing for us to think about, is how can we all up our service standards and have that 5-star mentality?
Absolutely. I think it always comes down to people, right? Mm-hmm. You remember that one person that made a big difference for you at your hotel stay, or when you were on vacation, or just going to like a funeral, that they actually took an extra step to make you feel good. And it wasn't that luxurious hotel that you stayed at often, right? It's always maybe that small inn that you stayed at, or that bed and breakfast, or that mid-scale, or that economy hotel because you're on a budget this trip, and it's okay that we all can make somebody feel special. And these skills that we're going to talk about that are part of your upcoming book, I definitely don't want to miss out on that. Sarah is a book right now, which do you hint what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely talk about it. So it is a hospitality book that I am putting together. It'll be, kind of lessons that I've certainly learned over the years, but it'll also include stories of other hospitality professionals. So you might see some familiar names and stories in there as well too, because that is so much of the hospitality experience. It's not just my stories, it's Rupesh's stories. It's, all these other people's stories that we can all relate to. And so, yes, that will be coming out probably very, very early in January, but we will be doing a pre-sale in December. So stay tuned.
Listen, comment if you're interested in buying this book, because I'm going to buy a bunch of copies, and we're definitely going to be giving away. And we're going to, listen, Sarah, we're going to knock this out of the park. We're going to make sure that everybody that's listening gets a copy, or purchases a copy, because we want to make sure that, since you've been helping all of us stay inspired, motivated, and all these things, that we, pay you back for what you've done, even if it's in a small way, by purchasing a book or just supporting you. So I'm happy to do that. And I'm sure everybody watching is happy to do that for you too. So I'm excited about that. So let's get into the first one. And Sarah actually made something special for you. I actually put every single one on a little title there for you. So hey,
wow.
One is proactive service.
Okay, proactive service. Okay, so I love this, and this is so simple. Because you might be like, okay, well, yeah, what's that makes sense. But think about it like this, where like maybe a 3-star or a 4-star service is reactive. You might be providing great service, but you're waiting until they come to you. So proactive service is what 5-star service is all about. So you're not necessarily just waiting for them to come to you with a request, but you're like, oh, I think this would be great. And so that's why it's a very simple concept, but it really changes the way you look at service. What do you think of that, Rupesh?
Yeah, I think it's called anticipation, like anticipate their needs, right? Yes. And I think that you working as a concierge, exactly, like, I have to be ready with 1,000 different answers for all these questions that come in every single day from your guests. And if you anticipate and maybe have a book, or at least understand if they mention something, you're going to also mention something else, because they're going to eventually ask you this question. That's anticipating needs, and that's being proactive. And instead of just, like you were saying, be reactive, because I feel like a lot of our industry is like, oh my God, you needed this. Oh, I'm going to run around and get it. But instead, you could have planned it out and been ready for them, right?
Yeah.
That's an opportunity to thinking about, and maybe this is one topic you can share on a group staff meeting where you're saying, how can we, instead of being reactive and going crazy that one moment when somebody wants something and we don't have it, by being proactive and maybe come up with 10 things that you always get a request on, right? And be ready for it.
And you know what it does is to just even like understand it from a psychological standpoint. And I do dive into this a bit in my book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not like a psychologist by any means, but think about it. Like what we're doing all the time, especially on, as I like to say, the front lines of the hospitality industry, is we're constantly interacting with people. So how we interact with them, what we say, sends a message. It might send a verbal message. We might send a message via body language, and all of that is important. So by being proactive, whether it's suggesting something that they might need, even if they don't need it, you're ultimately telling them that you're on their side. It tells them that you're also engaged and that you're thoughtful. I mean, and those are all cornerstones to hospitality. So it's more than just being proactive, but it's the message that you're sending.
Yeah, like a perfect example that I learned a long time ago is if you know that there's a family traveling and they said, listen, I'm traveling with 3 kids and they're younger, you say, Miss Dandashy, I've already we've got you in a room with a microwave refrigerator, and we have warm milk that we can deliver to your room at this time, or we have it during the breakfast. You know, those are anticipating their needs, right? Instead of just like them coming to ask you every 5 minutes about, do you have a microwave? Do you have milk? Do you have this? Can you make it less warm? You know, we've been through all of those things for me, at least with kids, right? So that's just one example, but there's thousands of examples of how you can anticipate. Come together with your group and with your team, figure out how you can anticipate your guests' needs, and you can also anticipate your staff's needs, so you can be proactive on that front too. You know.
Totally. And I love that you actually bring that up, because I think all too often we just focus on what are we doing for the guests. And 100% hospitality culture comes from within the business. And so whether you can look at those, the bigger brands, we all are familiar with the Ritz-Carlton, ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen, which is still, I mean, at times you're like, okay, that's a little silly, but like the concept is actually great, because it's inspiring us to treat coworkers, treat the people that we're working with that same, respect and that same sense of hospitality. And that, obviously the guest needs come first, but that you still treat, if a coworker asks you for something, that you still give it a sense of urgency and care when you're, responding to whatever they might need. So it definitely starts from within.
I was just thinking, these 8 different mindsets that we have, we can actually go into each one like in depth. And I know it's going to be in your book, but maybe when your book comes out, we go in depth with some of these and kind of get into the meat of things, because there's so many different action steps that you can take with all of these things. So, the best part about hospitality is the stories. And the number 2 thing, the habit, is creating stories.
Create stories. And again, you'll notice what, with some of these topics is that they might be a little bit different. As we just talked about proactive service, we've all heard anticipating needs a gazillion times. So that's why I changed it a little bit, that even though it might be the same concept or a similar concept, by changing the name, it gets us looking at it in a fresh way. So creating stories, again, simple concept. But if you go about your service with that notion of like, I'm going to help create a story, then you're engaged in a completely different way. So, think about it like this. 5-star service creates stories so memorable that they're told and retold to friends.
Hold on, say that one more time.
Okay, we'll say that because this is really great. So 5-star service creates stories so memorable that they're told and retold to friends.
Boom.
Hold
on. I got to ring the bell for that one.
Oh, ding, ding. But think about it, because it's coming from such a genuine place and you're helping create this story. And next thing you know, somebody's like, wow. And we'll get into wows later, because I saw somebody was commenting about, let's talk about wows. But it's those stories. It's like, you won't believe what this front desk person did for me the last time I stayed here, or you won't believe what the concierge did here. You won't believe what this room service attendant did. It doesn't matter what the job was, is that they want to share those stories. And those stories, first of all, not only is that part of your marketing, which is incredible, but that's how you just spread the word about hospitality. So if you go into it in the mindset of like, what would be a great story? I think it just changes everything.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think stories are a huge part of our business. And you could have a story like my example this week is you can have an example of a funeral and what people did for you at the hotel, or you could have a wedding and what they did for you at that hotel, or the experience that you got, or the feeling. And stories they start from feelings, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they come out. So I definitely think stories can make a huge difference in our space and what we're doing. And then the next thing we're talking about is once you have that story, or even before you get to the story, is like, how are you wowing them? Like, oh my God, I didn't even expect this. And that's the third thing we're going to talk about. It's the wow factor. Wow
factor. And then I'm going to share a story that kind of combines all of this, which is a story that blows my mind. But wow factor. You're creating the unexpected. Think of it as imaginative surprises. So it's more than just a surprise, but it's like, wow, that where you cause that genuine like sense of surprise. And it's like, that was so creative. That was so thoughtful. Thoughtful's another key element, is that you're not just anticipating the needs, but it's that special sauce that next thing you know, they're thinking like, they all they can do is respond with wow, and it's those moments. I want to share this quick story that kind of combines it all, which is not my story. I wish I could take credit for it. A very, very dear friend of mine, concierge at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel in Beverly Hills. It's the Pretty Woman Hotel. You might know it. She concierge there, and there was a family that was there, and they checked out, and they unfortunately left their child's teddy bear there. They call up after the fact and they're like, oh, we left our teddy bear. Do you have it in Lost and Found? They check. They have it. Perfect. Great. Can you send it back to us? Absolutely. So she gets the teddy bear, and she, instead of just like putting it in a FedEx package and sending it out, what she decides to do, and this is like, wow, she goes ahead and she takes the teddy bear all around that property, by the pool, in the spa, takes pictures of it, and has it go all over the place, prints those pictures. She had it laminated into basically like a photo book, and then sent a message with it and the teddy bear back. And it was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was late coming back with you. I took a couple extra days to have a staycation. And it was so thoughtful and so sweet. And I mean, to me, I don't know what gets more wow than that. And also talk about the story with that as well too. And they were able to create a story, not just, the parents can share, but that the kid was able to enjoy as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like, what can you do when they walk into your lobby or they weren't expecting it? Like, simple thing that we've done for years now. I'm thinking we've done it for like 6 or 7 years is, Sarah, when you check into a hotel, you ever had a candy bar with your name on it, like a personalized candy bar?
No, but I would say yes, please. Wow.
So remember Coca-Cola came out with their customized Coke can?
Yeah.
So we got the idea from that. I'm like, well, if people are posting on social media with their Coke can names, and there was never a Coke can with Rupesh on it, like I can almost guarantee that. I looked 100 times. I know there was Sarah, but no Rupesh unless I customized it myself. But I was like, how do we take this idea of social proof where people are posting on social media and do a wow factor at the front desk at check-in? So if you're a rewards member, you would say, Mr. Smith, thank you so much for staying with us. And here's a personalized candy bar. We want to personally thank you for being a reward member at this hotel. And it would be like, we created a template. By the way, this template you can find on smartguests.com, where you can get it customized. It's a PDF template that we customize for you. Our designers customize for you. We send it to you. Well, at our hotel, we get the arrivals list, type in their guest's name, like the first name, like Mr. Smith or something like that, right? Or a group, thank you IBM or whatever, right? And we present this to them at check-in, right? At check-in, or put it in the room if they're like as a big group, right? And that improved our reviews, and it connected and people posted about it, and they also talked about it just
Good
with
picture.
each other within the group, and they sent pictures back to their family and friends, and that was like, wow. I've stayed at big 5-star hotels, but this mid-scale property is doing it, right? So
Mhm.
simple ideas like that can make a big difference in your guest stay. And guess what? It was cheaper than a bagel that they forgot
Sure.
about, right? They
Yeah.
didn't talk about a bagel for the rest of their trip or while they were on vacation. For sure, their kids didn't talk about that bagel, right? But
Yeah.
that, as far as bringing an idea out of a different industry and making it your own.
Yeah, and I what I love about that example is that it's at the crux. I mean, it's simple, and sometimes these wow moments are really simple. I mean, it also ties into the fact that, like, who doesn't love a candy bar? But and the element that you can kind of create a template, you can personalize it, but then create a template so it's in essence scalable. So there are ways to even scale wow factor.
Absolutely.
I love that. Are you kidding me? I feel like, give me all.
So number Sarah, your fourth one is the unknown need.
Unknown needs. So again, all of these, you'll notice that they all sort of tie into each other. So unknown needs. So anticipating the needs that guests didn't even know they had. So it's more than anticipating needs. What it's being offered something that you didn't even know you needed. So I mean, this is
hold on. I would love to get the viewers right now to maybe share one thing that guests don't know they need, but you actually think about it for them. And please comment. Let us know, guys. Sure. Remember, the person with the most engaged questions and comments here is going to win that $100 gift cards. Go. Let's go. All right.
Yeah. I want to hear what you guys have to say on that. I mean, the simple thing. I mean, gosh, this is such a simple one because I think so many people don't think about it unless you're in hospitality. But it's okay, they came to you and they asked you for a car service to the airport. Okay, great. You can set up the car service, and then you offer a wake-up call. Would you like a wake-up call? Or as I would always say, was like, or would you like a follow-up call, or will one do? Because some people are like, one phone call and I'm awake, and some people are like, no, I need the snooze button. Please call me twice.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like, great, because they kind of are getting used to that. They expect you to offer that, and then it's like, would you like us to go ahead and arrange for room service to be sent to your room at that time as well too, or whatever you need in the morning? And next thing you know, they're like, oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking about breakfast because I'm trying to get to the airport. And that's a very simple example, but that's definitely just one way that all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I do need that. So thank you. And I'll take you up on it.
Yeah. One thing I can add to that is, if you're an airport property or close to the airport, or you have guests that stay with you, but then they're going to the airport next, like one thing that a lot of people stress about, and especially if they've been on vacation, is, did I overpack and am I heavy?
Yeah. Yes.
Am I stressed out now? I have to take all my clothes out, take my underwear out in the middle of the airport, and now try to shuffle things around.
Oh,
You just got a simple weight, those baggage weight things that are like cost less than $20 on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And you offer that, hey, come down to the front desk, or here, borrow our scale and see if if they're asking for that airport shuttle, you're already, giving them something that they didn't think about right away.
No, yeah, that's a great one. And by the way, get a good one, because they sometimes will break if somebody's really trying to measure something. We would always have those, and they would always come back broken. I'm like, well, clearly, I think you overpacked.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the next one is ownership. What is ownership, Sarah?
And so ownership in multiple ways. So every staff member should take ownership of a request, even if it's not in their department, but then also having a sense of ownership for the property. So this is like saying, if I can even just use myself as an example. Somebody that comes to me to ask me, they're like, I have a leak in the bathroom in my room. I need to have this fixed right now. So of course I'm not going to fix it. I'm not fixing anything in the bathroom, but obviously I might call engineering, they go do it, but then it's ownership. So that's basically I'm following, and then I end up following up with them, so that even though it's not, I wouldn't respond with, oh, that's not my job. Oh, what? Call engineering. No, you would never say that. You're like, oh, you obviously acknowledge it, and then you go ahead and you make sure that that need is tended to, even if it's not in your department. So, I mean, that's obviously a very a simple sort of way. But then it's also this notion of ownership for the property. And I think that's important for management to think about, is that you want to go ahead and give your staff the feeling that they can do something, that they have the authority to, whether it might be like, okay, we can take $25 off of their hotel room, or not even that, something even more simple. Oh, somebody's complained to me about something. I know that I'm allowed to send an amenity up to their room. That simple thing of letting all the staff members know that even if they're in housekeeping and they don't even know how to input like a request for an amenity, even if any of the departments, that they have that ownership. They're like, I had this interaction, whether the guest was nice, whether the guest had a problem, that they can go ahead and send an amenity up on behalf of the hotel, immediately gives them the sense of ownership. And they're like, I'm an owner here. So I think that is extremely, yes. I'm seeing other people saying that ownership, accountable for, yes, exactly. There you go. But it's a simple concept, but I think it really sets the tone.
Yeah, and it shows your entire team that, hey, if I'm responsible, everybody else needs to be responsible for incoming calls, outgoing calls, anything that comes in as far as a request. And I think that's important when you don't just hand this issue or this problem off to somebody else and then not even follow up. So taking ownership, like going through the full cycle of what happened, how did it get fixed, understand. So the next time, even if you're a front desk associate, you got the call, you've passed it on to whoever they needed to take care of it. Then you followed up with that person and say, how did you actually fix? Like when you have time, how did you actually fix it? So I know there's something simple. I don't have to keep bothering you for it, right? Maybe I can take care of it. And then that's kind of ownership, right? Taking maybe those, if it's not something major, you could have taken care of it, right?
Yeah. Or even just knowing how it works, because a lot of times it's also your presentation. So let's just say a guest comes to you and they complain about, something, and then you offer to fix it or to pass it on. But then if you can even intelligently articulate what might the problem be, and it's like, oh, let's go ahead, we'll look into it like this. All of a sudden, you're telling them that, wow, okay, you're definitely on top of it. Like, okay, Sarah might not be the actual like engineer that's going to fix the faucet, but she can talk to us about whatever the case is. So that just is an added element that just lets the guests know that you definitely have them at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah, and it shows that you care at the end of the day.
Definitely.
All right, so the next one is number 6. We got 3 more. So number 6 is details.
Details.
We're like, details always matter, but what does that mean for hospitality? What does it mean for us?
So yeah, obviously details always matter, but think about it in regards to making those personal connections with guests, that they tie into the detailed nuances of their preferences. So whether it's knowing their breakfast orders, or the name of, maybe they're traveling with a service dog and you do something specifically for their dog and you have their dog's name on whatever whether it's an amenity or something that's sent to them. This is really important, especially when you have maybe guests staying with you for a longer term, or if they maybe travel frequently because they're business travelers and you are their go-to property for when they're traveling for business. And then certainly repeat families, that might be traveling for the holidays. Those details make all the difference. And I can give you actually a really simple example. I used to work at the Peninsula Hotel in Beverly Hills, and I still to this day, I don't know how they totally did this, but they would, they're known for a lot of things, and they would always monogram pillowcases of whoever was staying there. So especially if it's like a husband and wife, or even if it's a couple and they don't have the exact same initials, they would make sure that all the pillowcases had their initials on the bed. Super cool. Well, let's take that a step further. Housekeeping would be super stealth and figured out who slept on what side of the bed so that the pillows actually matched the side of the bed that husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, whoever they were, slept on. Now that to me is like, those are some mega details.
Wait, how did they find that out? Because did they ask at check-in, or did they ask during
No, they didn't ask at check-in. It was like housekeeping. I mean, think about it. When housekeeping's cleaning the room, they can either see like maybe what might be like by the bed on one side, whether it's like maybe it's like the guy's watch on the one side, or who knows, their Invisalign, I don't know, but next to the bed. But they would end up figuring out and I kid you not, because the number of times that I had guests come back down to me, and they're like, how does housekeeping know what side of the bed I sleep on?
Like, is there a camera in this room?
No cameras. We don't, no cameras. But again, what a cool thing to figure out, because you can figure out a lot. I mean, and not meaning this in any sort of weird way, but housekeepers can get a lot of intel on a guest by cleaning their room. They have that, right? So 100%. A great way to use that in a not creepy way, but in a way to be like, oh yeah. And they might not even notice it the first night. It might be a couple of nights. So
yeah, that's a great story. You just do a simple story for like mid-scale properties or even hotels that have like a bike event. We just had Biketoberfest, and it wasn't huge like it was in the years past, where there was like 500,000 or 500,000 bikers in town, and they're like roaring through the city. This year in October, or a couple of weeks ago, it was decent. It was okay, right? We ran great occupancy. However, in the mornings, we would realize that people have their bikes outside, and it would get the morning dew on it, and they would come down and take our guest towels and wipe their bike off. Now you have dirty towels that you can't get this grease and grime off of it. So a simple thing was we started putting at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, we would fold up a towel, like a rag towel, like a bike towel, like a nice one, and put it on their seat with a thank you card on it or something like that, or with a message. And every morning we do that during the entire week on every bike.
Wow.
So they didn't have to do anything. And that was attention to detail. Like, these are things that they would have already done, but we did it for them, right? Simple. It didn't cost us a lot of money, but people really appreciated that. Like, you know what? These guys go above and beyond. And guess what? We weren't the Ritz-Carlton. We were a mid-scale property, right? But I think that's a great simple idea that you can take that. We're talking about 5-star service. Take it to your 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, even 5-star. You could do the same thing. There's a event in your hotel or in your area, right?
Yeah, and it's, again, what you're bringing up, it's the simple things. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. And I think all too often we're like, what amazing wow thing can we do? And we become inundated. We're trying to think of these big grandiose things. And then we're like, okay, well, that's probably too expensive. That's probably too complicated. And it's like, if we just get down to like the basic nuts and bolts of it and tap into that, that's honestly where it ends up being so simple, but you end up creating these wow moments, these details, all of that.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even take the towels. We would have an extra box just for used rags, and they would throw them in there. We would wash them, and we would save them for the next event. And if you have something like this that's annual, do it, because it makes a huge difference, and it doesn't cost you anything. Like, it doesn't cost you a lot, right? Simple ideas like that can make a big difference when you're talking about building loyalty, giving them a 5-star service. And guess what? That's a repeat guest that we're talking about stories. That's a story that they can share, and your story is the same. So
totally,
little details matter.
Totally. And they can be simple details. So, our next one here.
Next one is 7, follow through. And this kind of goes through everything we talked about. If you don't follow through, you miss the opportunity for this big ending, right?
Exactly. I mean, really, at the end of the day, no request should ever be forgotten. And it's more than just the request, but when we think about the follow through, it's also the following up, So again, somebody comes to you, they might ask you for something, and then you go ahead and you send engineering up to the room. You could be like, oh, it's done. Yeah. But then the next time they walk through the lobby, oh, Mr. So-and-so, did everything work out okay? Or even, the very simple thing, even in regards to, as concierge, we would go through this whole, song and dance to figure out the perfect restaurant for them for their anniversary or for their birthday. We'd set that up. They'd go. And then when they come back, always would engage and be like, how was dinner? Did you get to try the, artichoke, whatever, whatever it is.
It always comes down to food. Come on.
It always comes down to food. But that following up, it shows that not only did you follow through, because basically with follow through is that you're doing it behind the scenes, but then by actually asking them, you're drawing attention to it, and you're telling them, because again, it's coming down to the psychology of it. You're telling them that your request was so important. I want to hear from you. Was everything done okay? Is everything, Did they meet your needs? And again, you don't need fancy things to just follow up.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. I think you can make a lot of these things or offer these things for pennies or even free because you already have it at your property, right? It's just taking the idea and taking that and then following through with it, right?
Totally. And that's also where you end up creating the stories, because next thing you know, they're like, oh goodness, this ended up working out, or oh goodness, it didn't work out. And then it turns into this whole conversation, or you won't believe it. It's like, oh, did housekeeping bring up your items from dry cleaning? Well, they brought up items from dry cleaning, but they were somebody else's. Oh no. And then it turns into a conversation. And then obviously, hopefully that it ends up working out in the end, but then you can have that conversation. A great story actually based on that which reminds me of the dry cleaning, he's one of the producers for the Howard Stern show. And I can totally share this about him because we've become friends since. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? Anybody that watches Howard Stern, what's his name? Baba Booey, okay? I'll just say his Baba Booey, okay? So always would stay at the hotel. He comes down to me at one point and he was like, Sarah, so it's really nice that housekeeping ended up, bringing up my tuxedo pants because I'm getting ready to go to whatever show. But I think they gave me somebody else's tuxedo pants. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. How many people have tuxedo pants? Fine. No, we'll take them away. So we take them away, whatever. And then he calls back down 10 minutes later and he's like, no, I don't have my tuxedo pants. I don't know whose those are, but can I borrow them? They don't totally fit, but can I wear them? And I'm like, sure, take these tuxedo pants. We'll figure this out later. He takes the tuxedo pants, all of that stuff. He wears them, etc. And he's like, this is just so weird. I don't know how I keep getting somebody else's tuxedo pants. And I'm like, I have no idea either. This is very beyond me. Comes back, he returns them. He was like, hey, keep them in lost and found. Maybe they belong to somebody else. He goes home. I get a call a week later. He's like, Sarah. And I'm like, yes. And he's like, you won't believe it. So those tuxedo pants were mine, kind of. They were actually my son's tuxedo pants. So I actually brought them from home and I went through this whole thing. But it now turned into a story just because it turned into a back and forth about like, how are the tuxedo pants? And so again, you've got this whole story. So that's a fun one, but
actually, that's pretty cool. You can make this connection, and it could be like a long-term connection that creates a bond, right? And it breaks the ice sometimes, often actually. Does. And then you become friends. And guess what? Next time they come to your city, you're the only hotel, even though it was an embarrassing story or whatever, you have that connection between people. And I think that's important when we're thinking about offering 5-star service. You're offering that connection between two people that makes a difference when they're trying to think about booking or thinking about, because, in general, I think people are attracted to people they're connected to, right? I'm drawn to people that are like-minded or know something about me than just a complete stranger. And I think that says the same when we're talking about hospitality, right?
Oh, totally. Which goes into our next topic, our final one. That was nice segue there. Nice segue. Personalized service. So, I mean, obviously with everything that we've talked about, there is this personalized theme that runs through everything. So service is that's so personal that you can develop real relationships with guests. So you, as Rupesh was mentioning, you become the reason that the guest returns. I can't tell you the number of people that have said, not only to myself, they've said to friends, they've said to colleagues, you're the reason why I come back and I stay here. I know that people that would stay at traditional 5-star, 5-diamond hotels, maybe they meet, an employee that works in, and that employee goes and starts to work at a different hotel, maybe a 4-star hotel. And even though they might like certain amenities, that the 5-star hotel has, they will go to the 4-star hotel or the other hotel because they're like, I want to go and see so-and-so. So that's really powerful, especially when, people, they want to come back, to the people that they know.
Yeah, I think you're just like we talked about, it's comfort and someone that knows you is going to take care of you, and that's such a rewarding for any staff member, any associate, that these people, our guests, are trusting us this much that they're willing to take their entire family to another property, which is like, wow, like they really believe in me.
Yeah.
more than they believe in the hotel, right? And that personalized service, I think, means everything these days, especially when we're so slow. You're running 10% occupancy. Guess what? Now it's a perfect opportunity for you to personalize that service with those 30 people or 40 people that, if you're running 10% or 3 rooms, and guess what? 3 rooms makes a big difference. You can make a difference in those 3 people stay, 3 family stays, or, things like that. So I've always said it from the beginning, like, hey, if you're running 100% occupancy, pay people. You're not going to be able to get 100% of those family members and touch them all, right? But you can connect with 20. You can connect with one person that makes a difference that you can offer that 5-star service to, and then replicate it on how to make it easy. Like that candy bar wrapper. It's a template that we put together and put into our operations, put into the front desk operations during a certain period of the day. And now it's just like clockwork that if our reward members coming in.
Templates, by the way, are so critical to all of this, because all it takes is that one spark of inspiration, and you can offer this, and then it can even be as simple because somebody had asked actually in one of the comments about how can you create these this 5-star experiences if you're maybe not able to get information from people, or you're just not maybe you don't have the staff for it. But it's coming up with these templates and reaching and doing that reach out. Something simple that we would do at the concierge desk. We came up with a really great template of, here are different ways and different things that we can do for you. Now they might not want to go to a Dodgers game. By the way, the Dodgers won last night. That was really cool. I'm not a baseball player, but they might not be into baseball, but they're like, oh, I wasn't even thinking, oh, it'd be great to go to a basketball game or whatever that is. It just gets them going. So the templates are a great way to just basically start a dialogue. And in starting that dialogue and starting that conversation, you can learn about them and then do something specific. You can do something specific within your template, or you just get inspired. You're like, oh, wow, they're really into Star Wars. And I know that there's a store called Five Below, and they have a bunch of Star Wars things, and you can go pick up stuff and, have a little amenity with Star Wars figurines in their room, whatever that is. It's really simple. And it just doesn't have to cost that much money. Or maybe you don't go buy something and you do a printout from the internet, and then you make a card and put a Star Wars, whatever. I don't know any other people from Star Wars, but you get what I'm saying.
Simple thing. I saw my daughter this morning booing our neighbors. And have you heard of booing somebody?
No.
So when you boo somebody, it's like your neighbor or a friend. You get a little bag of treats and Halloween stuff, and it says you've been booed, but it doesn't say who it's by.
Okay.
Yeah, and so our neighbors did this to us last year. A few neighbors did it. So this year we're doing it to them. But it's cool that you've had this connection, this bond, but you don't know who it is, right? And that could be like something cool as far as a personal gift that is just from the hotel, that we appreciate your business. We love that you stay with us every time. And simple ideas that are personalized make a huge difference, I think, when we're talking about hotels or hospitality or anything in travel, because right now people are on the edge when they're thinking of how safe they're going to be or what kind of service they're going to get at this particular property. And so simple ideas that you've shared and these 5-star mindsets, I think everybody can take and make it their own. It's not like we tell you to go and have room service when you're at a 3-star hotel, right?
Yeah.
We're saying, so Sarah, what are we actually saying when we're talking about these 5-star mindsets?
Oh, really it's about genuinely connecting with your guests and creating those relationships, finding out a little bit more about them, and then acting on it. And so all of these, they're all interconnected. So many times we talk about one thing and it's like, oh, it ties into ownership and this, but it's really having that sort of sense of pride of where you work or your property, and then a sense of pride in your property, but then also that sense of pride in yourself to establish those relationships.
Sarah, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. And guys, before we get almost done with the show, we've been on for almost an hour now. Sarah, thank you so much. We're going to pick the winner. And by the way, if you loved this episode, hit the like button right now. And please thank Sarah, so we know that we're doing a great job and Sarah's doing a great job. And that way we can also pick who the winner is going to be because I wrote down a few names and guys comment. Sarah, any last words and how can people connect with you?
Oh, yeah. So you guys can find me online. Well, first of all, I'm on LinkedIn at Sarah Dandashy. But I'm also, you can find me on all over social media at Ask a Concierge. So Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the like.
Absolutely. And she has a huge Instagram following and she has a great YouTube following. Go look at her. You're like, wow, Sarah, you're awesome. But please connect with her here on LinkedIn. And Sarah, let's pick the winner this week. I've read through all the, I've been watching the comments on the side.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much for all the wonderful additions and your comments because they've just been amazing to understand how we can continue growing together. And this week's winner is Jay Patel. She's not related to me, but she comes on every single week and has some amazing comments on there. And thank you so much for supporting this show and supporting us here. Jay, congratulations. Send me a direct message and guys, comment and let Jay know that she won and congratulate her that, that we keep each other going. And that's what hospitality is about. It's not just about ourselves, but it's about growing each other and helping that next person out because guess what? You're eventually going to need it one day and it's going to come back to you in tenfold. Trust me, I know these past few months have been super difficult for my family and there's been so many wonderful people that have messaged me, called me. People want to show up on my doorstep and family and friends and just willing to help. And that's what hospitality is about. And that's what's in our blood. And that's what I've kind of learned from my dad where, we just have to care and go above and beyond. Right. And Sarah, thank you so much. Guys, if you appreciated the show, appreciated Sarah's content, it's been awesome. Please connect with her, hit the like button. And guys, we'll see you next week. And by the way, don't forget the sponsor or the show sponsor is smartguests.com. Please go to the website right now and support this show. By the way, you can find all the past episodes, past 61, and including this one on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rupesh Live. And hit me up on Instagram. It's Rupesh CO, at Rupesh CO. Guys, we'll see you next week. Sarah, any last words?
All I have to say is a belated happy birthday to you because you have had a very challenging couple of weeks, and I don't want that to go glazed over. So by the way, everybody that's listening, give Rupesh a special happy belated birthday because it's been a crazy time. So, but it's also your birthday. So happy belated birthday.
Thank you, Sarah. Guys, take care of each other, take care of yourself, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.